The creature was a nightmare made flesh. In the depths of the Andromedan Rift, where starlight barely touched, it hunted in silence. No ship that ventured into its domain ever returned, and tales of its monstrous power had become legend. It was the apex predator of the galaxy, feared even by the most advanced and war-hardened alien species. Entire star systems avoided its territory, leaving worlds untouched and barren out of fear of invoking its wrath. They called it the Void Beast. Its name whispered with dread across the galaxy, a being so powerful that even the Erythians, known for their impervious plasma shields, declared it undefeatable. The Galactic Coalition had declared the Andromedan Rift a no-go zone, forbidding any exploration or colonization efforts within light years of its supposed lair. For centuries, it ruled the unknown, and then the humans found out. Humanity had been the newcomers to the galactic stage, a species that seemed to thrive on audacity and stubbornness. To them, the galaxy's warnings about the Void Beast sounded less like a threat and more like an invitation. Rumors of a creature so fearsome it could obliterate star cruisers and tear apart fleets had piqued the interest of Earth's brightest and boldest. Where other species saw danger, humanity saw challenge. The mission to Andromedan Rift was not approved by the Galactic Coalition. In fact, they had outright forbidden it. The human fleet, led by Captain Elise Hart, launched under the guise of a deep space exploratory operation. But everyone aboard knew the truth. They weren't just exploring, they were hunting, or, at the very least, seeking answers. As the human fleet entered the rift, the universe seemed to hold its breath. Blackness enveloped them, thicker than any void they had encountered before. The ship's sensors pinged erratically, struggling to make sense of their surroundings. And then, the first sign of the Void Beast appeared, a low-frequency hum that reverberated through their hulls, not a sound but a vibration that crawled up their spines. "It's here," Elise said, her voice steady despite the tension gripping the crew. "All stations, prepare for contact." The Void Beast did not disappoint. It emerged from the darkness like a wraith, its form massive and unknowable, constantly shifting as though the void itself bent to its will. Its eyes, if they could be called that, glowed like dying stars, and its movements defied the laws of physics, as though it existed partially out of sync with reality. Alien species had described it as unstoppable, invincible. But the humans had one thing none of the others did: curiosity mixed with recklessness. Instead of firing on the creature immediately, the humans scanned it. Their ships, equipped with advanced AI and analysis tools, worked tirelessly to understand its nature. They noticed the fluctuations in its form, the way it seemed to react to certain energy wavelengths. What others had called invincibility, humans saw as complexity, patterns to be unraveled. For hours, the Void Beast toyed with them, launching tendrils of dark matter that lashed out at the fleet. 2 ships were lost, their screams of static echoing in the rift. But Captain Hart pressed on, her team piecing together the creature's secrets even as it seemed to grow more aggressive. And then they found it, a vulnerability, hidden in the chaos of its form. The Void Beast wasn't invincible. It was an apex predator in its own ecosystem, but even apex predators had limits. It fed on the energy signatures of its prey, thriving on plasma bursts and high-energy emissions. But something as simple as kinetic force, a solid slug of dense metal, confused it, bypassing its defenses entirely. The humans didn't have to destroy it. Instead, they unleashed a barrage of specialized kinetic projectiles designed to overwhelm its senses. The Void Beast recoiled, its form destabilizing as it retreated into the depths of the rift, wounded and confused for the first time in millennia. The Galactic Coalition was furious when they learned of the humans' actions. "You've provoked it," the Erythian ambassador hissed. "You've doomed us all." But the humans disagreed. They hadn't provoked it. They had studied it, understood it, and survived. Where others had seen an undefeatable monster, they had seen a puzzle to solve. And now they had a plan. The Andromedan Rift was no longer off-limits, with humanity leading the charge. The Void Beast territory became a region of intense study and exploration. The creature was no longer the galaxy's greatest threat. It was a challenge, one that humanity was more than willing to meet. And as word spread of humanity's encounter, other species began to see them in a new light. They weren't just another race of explorers. They were problem solvers, survivors, and, perhaps most importantly, unrelenting. The galaxy learned that day what humanity already knew. Monsters are only as terrifying as the stories we tell about them. The Void Beast remained elusive, but its retreat had opened a new frontier of both opportunity and uncertainty. Scientists across human space began crafting simulations based on the data collected from the Rift encounter. Every fluctuation of the creature's form, every movement of its tendrils, was studied, theorized, and debated. Alien species watched with mixed feelings, some in awe of humanity's boldness, others in fear of the chaos they had unleashed. Captain Elise Hart's name spread across the galaxy, becoming synonymous with humanity's unyielding determination. But for her, the story wasn't over. The Void Beast was no ordinary creature, and its ability to adapt worried her. "We forced it back," she said during a meeting of military and scientific leaders. "But we didn't defeat it. Next time, it won't just fight, it will outthink us." Work began on a multi-species collaboration, initiated by humanity but cautiously joined by others. The project, known as the Rift Nexus Initiative, aimed to create a deep space observation and defense network. It was a daring move, blending humanity's problem-solving abilities with the technological strengths of the more advanced species. The goal wasn't just to monitor the Void Beast, but to better understand the anomalies of the Rift itself, an ecosystem seemingly shaped to birth entities beyond comprehension. As construction of the Nexus stations began, the Rift revealed new secrets. Strange energy readings were detected, indicating that the Void Beast might not be the only inhabitant of its kind. Ancient star charts from the Lecrians, a species with near-mythological records, hinted that the Rift might once have been home to an entire species of energy-consuming predators. Were the Void Beasts the last remnants of a forgotten era, or were they merely guardians of something deeper, something dormant? Elise volunteered to lead another expedition into the Rift, this time armed with prototypes based on their earlier battle. Her ship, Resolute Dawn *, carried an experimental neural interface capable of mapping the energy patterns of the Void Beast's movements in real time. "If it can adapt," she told her crew before departure, "then so can we." The journey was harrowing. As the Resolute Dawn * pushed deeper, the fabric of space itself seemed to ripple, bending their perception of time and distance. Strange shapes moved in the periphery of their senses, always out of reach, as if the Void Beast were no longer alone, or as if the Rift itself were alive. Then, the Void Beast returned. But this time, it didn't attack. It lingered at the edge of their instruments, shifting and pulsing like a creature studying its prey. Elise realized with a chill that it wasn't reacting to them. It was waiting. In the heart of the Rift, the crew discovered why. There, suspended in an energy matrix of unfathomable complexity, was something even the Void Beast seemed to fear. It wasn't a creature but an object, a massive construct glowing with cold, alien light. Its design defied understanding, its surface inscribed with patterns that shifted with the rhythm of the Rift's energies. The Void Beast suddenly surged toward the humans, its massive tendrils curling with hostility. But as Elise braced for an attack, it stopped short, positioning itself between the Resolute Dawn * and the construct, as if protecting it. "That's no monster," Elise murmured, realization dawning. "It's a guardian." The Rift wasn't just a lair, it was a prison, and the construct was a lock. Whatever lay within had been contained for eons, but the Void Beast's wounds, inflicted by humanity, had destabilized the balance. And now, the lock was beginning to fail. Faced with the horrifying truth, Elise made a fateful decision. Humanity had proven it could stand against monsters, but this was something beyond strength or technology. It required sacrifice. Using the Rift's energy patterns as a guide, she ordered her ship to repair the damage they had inadvertently caused. redirecting power to stabilize the construct. The Void Beast, its aggression replaced by a strange stillness, watched as the Resolute Dawn worked. It didn't leave, but neither did it attack. When the construct's glow returned to its steady rhythm, the Void Beast withdrew, disappearing into the depths of the rift. Elise and her crew emerged from the mission as heroes, but they carried a warning back to the galaxy. The rift held secrets too dangerous to ignore. The Void Beast wasn't the villain of the story. It was the sentinel of a far greater threat. The galaxy's view of humanity changed that day. They were no longer seen as reckless newcomers, but as stewards of a fragile balance, willing to face the unknown not with fear, but with resolve. And though the Void Beast was gone, the rift remained a stark reminder that the universe's darkest corners were home to forces that even the bravest could barely comprehend. The crew of the Resolute Dawn returned to human space, to a mixture of celebration and unease. The galaxy species had followed their mission closely, and while their successful stabilization of the rift was seen as a triumph, the implications of what they discovered cast a shadow over the achievement. Humanity, once regarded as brash and foolhardy, had become something else in the eyes of the galaxy, a species willing to face the unknown with an unflinching resolve. But as Captain Elise Hart debriefed the United Galactic Council, her words carried an unmistakable warning. The rift was never meant to be explored. What we faced was only the surface of something far larger. The Void Beast wasn't the enemy. It was the warden. And whatever it's guarding, we have no business waking. Despite her warnings, curiosity rippled through the council chambers. Some species argued that the rift could hold unimaginable power, the key to technologies that might save or doom their civilizations. Others advocated for sealing off the region entirely, leaving the guardianship to the enigmatic Void Beast. Humanity took no chances. The Rift Nexus initiative evolved from an observation platform into a defensive network. Orbital stations equipped with advanced monitoring systems surrounded the Rift's outer boundary, manned by a coalition of human and alien crews. The stations were designed to detect any movement or anomalies within the Rift, and to contain whatever might emerge. For Elise, the weight of her mission lingered. She couldn't shake the image of the Void Beast, its massive tendrils moving with what felt like intelligence and intent. It wasn't just a creature, it was a sentinel, ancient and unyielding. And though it had allowed her ship to stabilize the construct, it had also made it clear that humanity's presence was unwelcome. Months turned into years, and the rift remained quiet. The construct's energy patterns held steady, and the Void Beast had not been seen since. But rumors began to spread among the Rift Nexus crews. Whispers of faint movements in the shadows, strange signals that defied analysis, and a growing sense of being watched. Elise, now an admiral overseeing the Nexus initiative, reviewed these reports with a grim determination. She knew the galaxy couldn't afford complacency. The rift might be silent, but silence in the vastness of space was rarely a sign of peace. One day, a new signal was detected, a low-frequency pulse that resonated across the entire network. It wasn't coming from the Void Beast or the construct, but from deep within the rift itself, from a region no probe or ship had ever reached. The signal was a pattern of tones, repeating like a heartbeat. The Rift Nexus scrambled to respond, sending a probe equipped with the latest cloaking and shielding technologies. As it entered the rift, its transmissions became erratic, distorted by the region's chaotic energy. But before it was lost, it sent back one final image, a vast, shadowy figure, larger than anything humanity had ever imagined, stirring in the depths. The Void Beast wasn't alone, and whatever it was guarding was waking up. Elise stood on the Nexus command deck, staring at the distorted image. The galaxy had faced many threats, but this felt different. This wasn't a war they could fight with fleets or weapons. It was something older, something that challenged the very fabric of their understanding. She issued new orders, doubling the Nexus's defenses and calling for a galactic summit. Humanity had learned to adapt, to push boundaries and face the unknown. But this time, they would need every ally, every resource and every ounce of courage to prepare for what lay ahead. The rift's secrets were far from uncovered, and the galaxy's greatest trial was only beginning. The signal had stirred not only fears, but also debates across every council chamber in the galaxy. Was this a threat, a warning, or an invitation? The question divided the council as much as it haunted Elise's command deck. For every species that argued for caution, there were two eager to exploit what they saw as a potential key to the galaxy's mysteries. But Elise knew better than to let curiosity outweigh prudence. Weeks turned to months as the Rift Nexus network remained on high alert. The signal continued to pulse, regular as the ticking of an ancient clock, as if the Rift itself were calling out. Humanity had faced the unknown before, but never on such a scale. Across Earth and the colonies, preparations continued. Engineers built countermeasures. Scientists delved into theoretical physics for answers, and philosophers debated the implications of awakening something older than the stars. And then, without warning, the signal stopped. The silence was deafening. Probes sent deeper into the rift reported no trace of the colossal figure they had glimpsed before. The void beast itself remained absent, but something was coming. The Nexus detected an anomaly, a growing void in space where energy signatures disappeared without explanation. It wasn't a fleet. It wasn't a weapon. It was something else entirely, moving closer with every passing day. Elise knew the galaxy had to unite now, or risk being consumed by whatever was awakening. She called for an emergency assembly of all the major species. Standing before the gathered leaders, her voice carried the weight of human resolve and the shared fear of the unknown. "This isn't just humanity's fight," she said. "It's a challenge to everything we've built, everything we've become. Alone, we won't survive. Together, we might have a chance." The alliance was uneasy, built on desperation more than trust, but it held. Fleets gathered at the edges of the rift, a fragile shield of hope against the encroaching darkness. As the anomaly grew closer, the skies above the Nexus filled with ships from every corner of the galaxy. For once, the stars themselves seemed to rally, humanity's defiance igniting a flame in the hearts of species who had once looked down on them. And then it came. The anomaly emerged from the rift like a wound in space, a massive structure that seemed alive and ancient, its surface shifting with impossible geometry. Ships from the Coalition opened fire, their weapons blazing bright against the void. The entity didn't retaliate. It simply absorbed the attacks, growing larger, darker, more tangible. The void beast appeared again, its tendrils wrapping around the anomaly as if to hold it back. But even the great sentinel seemed outmatched. It roared, a sound that echoed through every channel, across every ship, and then it charged, slamming into the entity with all its might. The resulting shockwave knocked out power across the Nexus, plunging everything into darkness. When the systems came back online, the anomaly had stopped moving. The void beast floated motionless, its light dimming. Elise ordered a halt to all fire. "We don't understand this fight," she said, "and we can't afford to make the wrong move." The void beast's tendrils extended, brushing against the Nexus itself. A moment of terror seized the crews, but instead of destruction, it transmitted something. An image, a message burned into every mind on every ship. It was a memory, not of destruction, but of creation, of a time before time, when the galaxy was young, and these ancient entities had built the framework of reality itself. The entity wasn't a destroyer, it was a builder, but now it was corrupted, broken by eons of entropy. The void beast was its counterpart, a guardian meant to keep it in check. And now, it was asking for help. Humanity answered. Scientists and engineers worked tirelessly alongside alien counterparts, blending the rift's chaotic energy with the best of every species' technology. Ships were equipped with experimental devices designed to stabilize the anomaly, to repair what was broken rather than destroy it. Elise led the charge, her flagship spearheading the effort. As the Coalition's ships surrounded the entity, the devices activated, sending waves of harmonic energy rippling through space. The entity shuddered, its form shifting as if struggling to remember itself. The void beast roared again, this time with what felt like approval, and joined the effort, its tendrils weaving light into the structure. Hours felt like days, but finally, the anomaly began to shrink, its chaotic edges smoothing out. The rift itself seemed to calm, its violent storms giving way to an eerie stillness. And then, with one final pulse of energy, the entity stabilized. It was no longer a threat, but a part of the cosmos once more, its purpose restored. The coalition fleets erupted in cheers, their relief palpable. Humanity had once again stood at the edge of the abyss and refused to fall. The galaxy species, once divided by fear and prejudice, now shared a bond forged in the fires of the unknown. As Elise stood on the bridge of her ship, watching the rift fade into tranquility, she allowed herself a moment of hope. The galaxy had faced its greatest trial and emerged stronger, united. And though the rift would remain a place of mystery, it was no longer a source of fear. For the first time in generations, the stars felt a little brighter.